Welcome to Lumisette Narratives, where the quietest stories often carry the sharpest truths. Some people aren't silent because they're weak. Some people are silent because they've learned that explaining themselves never saved them. If you've ever felt misunderstood, even when you spoke clearly, this story may feel uncomfortably familiar. And before we begin, if stories like this help you see yourself more clearly, you're welcome to subscribe or share this moment now. Let me tell you about Elise and what happened when she stopped trying to be understood. Everyone described Elise the same way. Calm, reasonable, emotionally mature. Whenever conflict arose, people looked to her to smooth it out. Whenever tension filled a room, Elise was the one who lowered her voice, chose her words carefully, and made sure everyone felt comfortable. What no one realized was that Elise wasn't calm. She was exhausted. She had spent most of her life explaining herself, why she felt the way she did, why something hurt her, why she needed space, why a boundary mattered. And every explanation was met with the same responses. You're overthinking, think. Not what I meant. You're too sensitive. Let's not make this a big deal. So Elise learned to soften everything. She didn't speak when something crossed a line. She didn't correct misunderstandings. She didn't push back. She explained less and listened more. And people praised her for it. At work, Elise was dependable, but invisible. Her ideas were used, reshaped, and presented by others. When she gently clarified, she was told she was reading too much into it. In friendships, she was the listener, the emotional container, the safe place. But when she needed support, the room went quiet. In her relationship with Jonah, the pattern deepened. Jonah wasn't cruel, but he was confident in his own perspective. So confident that Elise's version of events always seemed to get edited, minimized, or reinterpreted whenever she tried to explain herself. He interrupted with reassurance that somehow erased her feelings. I get it, but I didn't mean it that way. You're misunderstanding. Me and Elise would nod, because explaining never changed the outcome. It only made her feel smaller. The turning point didn't happen during an argument, it happened during a quiet moment that should have felt safe. Elise and Jonah were sitting on opposite ends of the couch, the room dim, rain tapping softly against the windows. She took a breath. I need to tell you something, she said. It's about how I've been feeling lately. Jonah glanced at her, attentive, at least on the surface. She spoke slowly, carefully, choosing words like stepping stones. I feel like when I try to explain myself, I don't actually get heard, like my feelings get translated into something easier for you to accept. Jonah frowned. That's not true, he said. Quickly, I always listen. She tried again. No, you listen, but I don't think you let my experience exist without correcting it. Jonah sighed. I think you're projecting a bit, he replied. I'm not trying to invalidate you. You just take things very deeply. Something inside Elise went still. Not angry, not sad, just done, because in that moment, she realized something devastating. No matter how clearly she explained herself, she was still being redefined by someone else. That night, Elise didn't cry, she didn't journal, she didn't replay the conversation. She simply made a quiet decision. She would stop explaining herself, not as punishment, not out of bitterness, but because explanation had become a way of begging for permission to feel, and she no longer needed permission. The change wasn't loud, it was subtle and unsettling for the people around her. The next time Jonah dismissed a feeling, Elise didn't argue. She simply said, "This is how it feels for me," and stopped talking when he tried to debate it. She didn't engage. "I'm not asking you to agree," she added calmly. "I'm letting you know." At work, when her idea was repackaged by someone else, she said, "I'd like my contribution acknowledged." No explanation, no apology. In friendships, when emotional labor was expected but not returned, she said, "I don't have the capacity for this right now," and let the silence sit. People were confused. Some were uncomfortable. Some were defensive. Some accused her of changing. But something remarkable happened to the people who respected her, adjusted. The people who relied on her silence drifted, and for the first time, Elise felt light. One evening, weeks later, Elise sat alone by a window, city lights reflecting off the glass. She wasn't lonely, she was peaceful. She understood now what no one had ever taught her. Communication isn't always about explaining. Sometimes it's about stating and allowing others to respond responsibly. She hadn't lost her voice. She had refined it, and by no longer explaining herself to be accepted, she finally accepted herself. If Elise's story unsettled you a little, that's okay. Some truths arrive softly. Others arrive sharp. Here at Lumisette Narratives, we tell the stories that sit with you after the sound fades. If this resonated, consider subscribing, leaving a gentle like, or sharing this with someone who's tired of explaining themselves. Until tomorrow, speak when it matters, stay silent when it protects you, and remember, you don't owe everyone an explanation.